As
See
I was
how
editing these podcasts, I said, why am I always eating on them?
I know you are always eating on them.
That's the problem.
You get hungry when we start to record. Is that it's like a trigger? We
It
start
must
talking
be.
about Disney. We've done so many shows about Disney food. That's what it must be.
Mm.
That's my guess. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Disney with the Ducks. Today, you've got me, Jodie B, with my awesome, amazing, wonderful world traveling friend, Lonnie G. What's up, Lonnie?
Konnichiwa.
Oh, that's a hint. That is a hint, everyone. Super excited that you have joined us for today's episode. I can't wait to hear all about this because Lonnie G was, I don't know, someplace really exciting and quite far away. And we get to hear all about it. And don't worry, it's Disney related. So if you like what you're hearing, which of course you're going to because it's the Lonnie and Jody show, we encourage you, I know, we encourage you to go onto your podcatcher of choice. Please give us a 5-star review. Tell all your friends and family how awesome we are. Share us, and it will just help build our community. And speaking of our community, we've got a pretty fun Facebook group. We encourage you to join that too and interact with everybody on there. And I think if you have questions about this particular topic, we now have a resident expert. So, Lonnie G, where in the world was Lonnie G?
Well, Lonnie G decided to go to Disneyland, Tokyo, or Tokyo Disney. So yeah, that's where I went. It was, look, Jody B, we say it all the time. When you kind of put the tiers of ducks, you're the favorite, right? We know Kevin has the most knowledge of Star Wars. We know that, right? Um, I think I'm the biggest Star Wars fan, but we go back and forth with Gene about that. But to say, when we started this podcast, I think I remember telling everybody my goal is to visit every Disney park. So I had an opportunity to check another one off the list and go over there. So I think now we can say that in your face, Gene, I'm like the second duck, like solidified. Right. It's
You are.
done. It
You're
is.
definitely the most traveled duck. That is without a doubt. I mean,
Well,
Disney Cruise Line and all the parks. Yeah, you definitely are the most traveled. So
yeah. I still have Shanghai, so I want to do that one. You
yeah,
know.
add it
Mhm.
to the list. And then they're building a new one. So then
And
your list is
I'm gonna be over there as well when it opens.
I know. It's
Mhm.
craziness. Crazy,
Yeah.
crazy. Okay, so when were you there?
Okay, so I was in Tokyo in let's see here. I'm gonna get it. June the 9th. It was a special day. Yes, because it was Donald Duck's birthday. So of course, Donald Duck, he's the patriarch of our podcast. He kind of started it all, right? He's the godfather of all ducks. Why not go celebrate Donald's birthday where they do it in style? And that is in Tokyo. So I was over there on June 9th to hang out with Donald.
I mean, if you're going to go, you might as well go the most important date of the year, right?
You might as well. That's what I said. It's funny, you get there and I felt, I had my Disney with the Ducks hat on, but I was underdressed because everyone, I think 90% of people were dressed like Donald Duck.
Wow.
I mean, and they had stuff Donalds all over the place. I mean, people had were walking around with kind of like 4-foot ducks. It was the craziest thing, but
I
awesome.
can't wait to see more pictures. Okay, so for those of us who are not familiar with Tokyo Disney, tell us a little bit about the park. Is there one park, two parks, three parks? What is it like over there?
Okay, so there are two parks. So there's Tokyo Disney Sea, and there's Tokyo Disneyland, right? So I decided to go to Disneyland. Number one, something different about this one is that they don't park hop, right? So there is no park hopping.
Oh,
I was going back and forth as I was doing research on what park to go to. Of course, they say Tokyo Sea is the best park, but being it was Donald's birthday, I wanted to go to the original, so that's where I went.
all right. So spent one day only, right? Just one day?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know how you did that. I would have been hard to be that close and only do one day. So one day in Tokyo Disney. Now, how did you manage to get to the park? Were you staying in the city and did you take a train or were you staying on property? How did that all work?
Great question. So I actually stayed at the Sheraton at Tokyo Bay, which is to me, it's the if you're a Marriott person, it is the perfect place to stay. Uh, my room actually overlooked the Tokyo Bay, but when you get into the elevators actually look into the park, look into Disneyland Park. So literally, you have the best of both worlds. There is a shuttle that leaves twice an hour. I caught the 7:20 a.m. shuttle, and it brings you over to the train station. And from the train station, you basically walk across the street to Disneyland Park. So,
Okay.
so yeah, so it's right there. Um, the ride on the shuttle is 8 to 10 minutes. One thing I love about it is how punctual it is. I mean, 7:19, it pulled up. 7:20, we took off. 7:30, I was walking toward the park. So it was very punctual, which I thoroughly enjoyed. One of the things when I was doing the research, because usually I look, the park open at 9. So I'm like, oh, okay, so I get there at 8. Well, from the research, it said if you're going to rope drop, 8 is too late. 7:15 to 7:30 is when you need to be there. And first I was like, nah, but you know what? I don't want to mess this up. So this was a video I was watching on YouTube of a guy that actually lives in Japan and he goes to the parks a lot, right? So he made that. I said, okay, I'm going to try to do that. So I got on the 7:20 bus, got over there. I was in line at 7:30, and it must have been maybe 1,000 people ahead of me. So it was pretty pretty packed. So I got in pretty easy, right? So I was in the park before, or in I should say the holding area. It took me about 20 minutes. So around 7:50, I was in there. This is the difference. I think there are many differences, but the first difference in regards to Tokyo Disney. So you get in and you go to the front to the gate. So there's a big courtyard once you get your security that you go to. It's funny because people was actually running. So you'll get your security and they would run to the gate. There's a big kind of like ceremony before that, so they're holding you at security. You're doing some chants, they're clapping, everybody's doing this and that, and then they start going through security and people just rushing into the fence, right? And people rush to the fence. I didn't run because I'm cool, but I got to a good spot.
Well, you
And
don't like
once I got to the
running.
spot, but yeah, I thought about it, but I'm like, yeah, I'm not gonna do that. Got to the front, right? So I was only about maybe 40, there may be about 40 people in front of me. Everybody got to the front, then everybody sat down. And my people had little mats that they unrolled. They sat down. I sat down. It was very orderly. People took out their breakfast. They started eating. But yeah, it was just very polite. You know, um, People were playing on their phones. They were doing this. It was very quiet. People were doing all kinds of stuff. It was just a different vibe than what you would see at the parks. Here everybody was just kind of quiet and just kind of hanging out, waiting for the park to open.
Refreshing to know that people can be kind and respectful.
It was so the next biggest difference is how clean it is. I'm gonna tell you this. I've sort of maybe let's see, 3 people in front of me. There was a family with a stroller, and the kid jumped off the stroller, and the stroller tipped back, and it wasted some Coke. Literally, you see the Coke, right? The lady picked up the stroller, apologized, and she took out a towel and wiped up the Coke off the ground, and then went throw the towel away. I mean, it's the respect for the park, which is a different level, right? So by far, and I've been fortunate enough to go to a lot of Disney parks. It was the cleanest park that I have ever been in. I mean, like I said, it's a different vibe. So yeah, that was outside. Early entrance for people that actually stayed at the Disney hotels. You get 15 minutes. So they went in at 8:45, and at 9 o'clock, we all got in. So yeah, so that's the rope drop experience because they actually kind of line the streets, right? And the cast members wave and high five you as people walk in
Wow.
to their main street, which is covered, by the way. So
Oh,
yeah, stop it from raining, right? So it's buildings covered. You walk through that, and then boom, it's the castle.
Okay, so I'm going to backtrack with two different questions. First of all, how did you go about getting your ticket? Did you buy it ahead of time? Did you buy it online? Did you work with a travel agent? Did your hotel have some sort of deal with your ticket? How did you buy because you bought a 1-day ticket, correct?
I did.
Okay.
I bought it online through the app. The app is very easy to use. Here's the thing. You have to prepare, right? Because some credit cards takes a little bit to get through. I alerted my credit card company that I was going to be traveling abroad. It still got dinged, right? So I had to, I got the little notification that, suspicious activity. I'm like, I already told you guys. So I clicked it, had to go back in, try again, and then it went in the second time. A 1-day park ticket is $62.
That's it?
$62.
Wow.
That's how much your park ticket was. The food is also extremely cheap. A box of popcorn, right? And the popcorn there, the popcorn buckets is a culture on its own. They're so elaborate. I just got a regular box of popcorn was $2.27. That's with tax, which is what, $6 in for the regular box, in Orlando. So yeah, $2.27. Everything's in yen, but it converts it once you kind of do it, and everything's tap to pay anyway. So yeah, it's the snacks were very, very reasonable as well. I ate there throughout the whole day, snacking on snacks, and literally everything was very, very reasonable.
Okay, so that was my first question about your ticket, and then my second question about where you stayed. How easy was it to talk to the people at the front desk at the hotel at the Sheraton to provide information to you on how to get to Disneyland? Like, was there a language barrier? Was there anything that was hard for you to navigate or figure out, or how easy was that to figure out?
Very easy. So not everyone speaks English, but there are a lot of, for instance, when I checked in, if you have status with Marriott, you check in a different section. Then, so when you walk in, they ask you, are you, platinum, or you this and that, you tell them, and there's a special Bonvoy check-in spot. You go in, you have a seat, someone comes talk to you, sign you up, they take your name, they go in the back, they do everything, then they come get you and bring you to the table to check in, right? So, and that person did speak English very well. And, there's a lot of, and what I find, if even in the park, when everyone didn't speak it, if you say it or attempted to or point, they were very good at kind of knowing what you're saying. In fact, I would say a ride, like I want to find, they know the American names of it. I say, look, Beauty and the Beast. They're like, oh, and they point that way and turn this way. So they will give you directions that way. So there is no issue with navigating around. They will try their best to help you.
Good. That's great to hear. Okay. So those were my two questions before we got started with the day. Okay, so you're rope dropping, everyone's sitting there calmly and nicely. They let the people, how many Disneyland Tokyo resorts are there? Because you said they got in at 8:45. Do you know how many hotels or resorts they have on property there?
I think there are two. One you can see right from the monorail, and you can see it actually from the hotel I was in, which is their main one, right? It's huge. And I think there are two.
Okay.
But I will say this, from doing my research, I've heard that they are, kind of expensive. But hey, expensive is relative, right? This depends.
Yeah.
I decided to go to the Sheraton for several reasons. And then it was recommended highly by a lot of the research I was doing.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's you've mentioned that a couple of times now. I think when you go to an international park, yes, it's Disney, but it's a little different. And we're so well versed in Disney World that it comes second nature to us. Disneyland, we actually had to do a little bit of research before we went out there for the race a couple of years ago. But I think watching any videos, trying to hear any blogs, for me, because we've got an international trip coming up, just trying to consume as much of it without spoiling too much, but just picking up some tips and tricks to make the travel easier. It's a great thing to do. I mean, I think I've shared this with you. I'm always on the podcast, and I'll put in if in this case I would put like Tokyo Disneyland and see what would come up. And then because I listen to a lot of content instead of watching a lot of it, just because I can do it when I'm walking the dog or running or whatever. So, so I think that research ahead of time is key when you're going someplace new.
Oh yeah, totally agree.
That's awesome. Okay. So, all right. So you rope drop. So they get in 15 minutes early, which isn't that much time really for benefit of staying on property. You get in at 9 o'clock. And what do you do first? You walk in, brand new park. It's June 9th, 2025. It's a Monday. It's Donald Duck's birthday. You walk in and what do you do right away?
Some people were running toward different rides. I did not. I kind of walked in because I just wanted to take the whole, walking through their mall section and then boom, seeing the castle. And the castle is ginormous, right? So it's huge, beautiful castle. And then I made my way. The first thing I did after that, saw the castle, was took out my phone, because what they have, which is pretty cool, is Premier Access, which is kind of like our Lightning Lane, right? So you can pay for a ride. And there's the 40th anniversary priority pass. That's fast passes, and they're actually, free. So I got in, I got me a fast pass for Pooh's Corner, and then I paid for Beauty and the Beast, because that's the two ones you have to do. We don't have them over here. I didn't spoil it by watching the Beauty and the Beast ride, but I wanted to kind of make sure I did that one. So it's from walking, you see as well, which is crazy. A lot of people that got in early, they were lining the parade route and sitting down, right? So a lot didn't go out. They were just literally lining the route, getting their spot.
What time is
it? Yeah, at that time, 9 o'clock in the morning, they were lining, and the parade, the first one's at 11. They were lining.
Wait. They were lining up at 9 a.m. for an 11 o'clock parade?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Because which is so cool about their parades is, and one of the cast members explained it. I saw it in the video, but a cast member actually told me as well. The first row, they sit. The second row stands. That's how they do it. So the first row was everybody sitting down. So everybody gets a good view. You don't have people taking kids and putting them on their shoulder and you can't see. No. This is the second row, you get to stand. First row, you get to sit. So that first row was established because everybody sat down. And then, of course, I was in the standing section, which was just the second row. It was a great view. And the first row does not get up. They will sit down the whole parade.
That's impressive.
Yeah. So I made my way over to Beauty and the Beast. But when I got there, because I took so long, there was a 70-minute wait. Well, LG doesn't do 7-minute waits, and I already paid for a priority pass. So I was good. I was like, okay, my priority pass is at 10. I don't have to do this one. I'll make my way. And using the app has some great wait times. I said, oh, the second ride was Pooh's Honey Hunt. It had a 10-minute wait. So I walked right around the corner and went to Pooh's Honey Hunt. That was my first actual ride. And it was great. It's kind of like Remy, but with Winnie the Pooh. However, it actually works. It doesn't go down. So went on Pooh's Honey Hut. That was a great queue, great ride. Like I said, it's trackless. It's a dark ride. Really pretty cool.
Is it 3D? You wear glasses or no?
Nope, did not wear glasses. So It's just, but it is, you kind of going through. It's similar as well to Mickey and Minnie's Runaway. So it's that same kind of thing. You're rolling around and they're shooting the air at you and you're doing that. So it's still kind of, you're getting all your senses stimulated. It's just Winnie the Pooh there. So it was cool. So did that. And after that, came out, did a couple of, a little lap around some areas. And then I went to Haunted Mansion, which had a 5-minute wait. Of course, now it is the rides are in Japanese. However, for Haunted Mansion, there's certain parts, like the song, it's the same song, but the ride is really cool. The song is in English, right? So it's funny how it goes back and forth for a lot of rides. Yeah. So did Haunted Mansion. Then I did a loop around because you just had to just take it all in. Like I said, it's the cleanest park I've ever been in. I mean, there is not a speck of dirt anywhere on the ground. I mean,
and are they divided by lands like Disney World? Do they have like Frontierland and Adventureland and Fantasyland? Or okay,
they do. So I walked around. I walked by, and I thought about getting on it. It's a Small World. It's a Small World has group. I thought about getting on it for that. There wasn't a wait for that, but I was like, you know what? I'm going to keep going and just I wanted to take in as much as I could. So there was no wait for that, but I was just doing loops around to see everything. Um, Stopped, took some pictures, as well as helped some people take pictures. Pictures are a big thing over there, right? So I walk by and somebody asked, "Hey, can you take my picture?" And they would just hold up their phone. And I said, "Yeah, sure." And I'll take their picture, and I was just doing loops around. Went back through the castle because you can actually walk their castle. There are steps and things of that nature. So did that, and then it was my time to ride Beauty and the Beast. So Enchanted Tales of Beauty and the Beast was the next thing that I went to go do, and I did the lightning lane for that. So there's a little pre-show that's really pretty cool that tells you the history of Beauty and the Beast, and it kind of shows you through this stained glass of the curse of the rose, all that kind of good stuff. And then you get on the ride, and it's kind of like a trackless dark ride as well. You go into the ballroom. The first thing is Luminaire singing, "Be Our Guest." The dishes and everything come alive on the table. The animatronics is fantastic. And then what it's famous for is you go into another room, and it's the transformation room when the beast, after the villagers come in and all that kind of stuff. So you're going through that through the whole movie, and then at the end, he transforms. Which to this day, and I recorded it, I looked at it several times. I cannot figure out how they do it. It must be magic, but everybody talked about it, and I didn't want to watch it to ruin it. But by seeing it, when you see it face to face, you're like, wow, it is just that cool.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
That's so cool. So your first two of your three rides were unique to that park.
Exactly. I mean, we have a Haunted Mansion, of course, but their Haunted Mansion is bigger, it's longer, it's just nicer.
All right. All right.
So yeah.
What was your first snack that you had there? I know you had popcorn because Lonnie G.
It was the first snack.
Really?
Yeah. So it was around, by that time, around 10:30. So yeah, I did 3 rides by 10:30. I was like, you know what? Popcorn. So I went over, got some popcorn. Right outside of Monsters Inc. I was walking through. One of the things they're famous for is the Baymax ride. So I wanted to go see it, right? So I walked over and looked at the Baymax ride. It has a cult following because people actually stood up around and did their own dance to the music. Like regular people just lined up and they had their own kind of like Baymax dance. It's like Baymax Happy Ride or something like that. And I stood up there and just watched people dancing and to the beat of the music, and people were spinning around. And it's kind of like Maters. It's basically what it is with Baymax. But yeah, it was cool.
Did you ride it?
I did not, because I think this one of the rides, like if you did Mater, if you did Alien Swirling Saucers, it's basically the same thing.
Yeah.
I went to go see it because I wanted to. First off, I went to the popcorn cart there, and they have these unique popcorn buckets at every cart, which is crazy. The popcorn buckets they have there are they're phenomenal. That's the only word I can say. They have so many different popcorn buckets, and they sell out fast too, right? So all these people walk around. I'm like, that's an awesome bucket. They say, oh yeah, that's sold out. I mean, that was one that was like a month ago, but they released so many, right? So there's a Monsters Inc. one I looked at that people had, and I was like, should I get this? But what do I do with it? But it was like the doors. So it's all the doors on a popcorn bucket that slide open.
That's
things, right. So I just got the regular popcorn and sat out there and ate while watching people dance to the Baymax ride.
That's really neat. Yeah. I like the audience participation in this park. I like that there's things that, like, I think that's really fun.
Yeah. So then it was time for Donald's birthday greeting, right? So it was 11 a.m. I was a standing row. So I went there. I got there about 10:45. People were sitting down. So I sat down. Like I said, I had a conversation with the cast member, spoke English very well. The parade started. Everybody stood up in the second row. I stood up, so I was right on the second row, and we watched Donald and Daisy arrive at the park.
And what was that birthday celebration like?
Man, it was crazy because so many people were dressed up as Donald, and they were yelling "Happy Birthday, Donald!" and they were throwing out love signs to Donald, and Donald was waving. He was taking it in. Daisy was there, and he just kind of cruised around in the car. Just like that, he cruised around in the car and waving at everybody, and we did that, right? So,
okay, I have a question.
Yes.
Did you watch any of the stage shows or anything like that?
So I did not watch a stage show. I thought about going because you can actually get a priority pass to get a seat in a stage show as well.
Oh,
But I was like, you know what? I wanted to maximize my time there, and I wanted to make sure I stepped foot in every area of the park. So after that, I just started walking around, seeing more things because I wanted to see as much as possible.
okay.
And I went to see a stage show, and the cast member actually told me, and this one I was walking by one who had one that was about to start in 5 minutes. It was a Stitch show, and the cast member actually told me that she's like, it's all in Japanese. It's like a Japanese talk show. And I
That's what
said,
I
well,
wanted.
thanks for telling me.
That's
So
what
I
I
didn't go to
wanted
that one
to
because
do.
I wouldn't have known what they were doing. She actually said, you know, you come in, but just so you know, it's all Japanese. You know, she said, you probably won't know what they're saying. I said, good looking out.
You're like, what? Do I not look like I not speak fluent
Yeah.
Japanese? I mean,
I
come
looked at it, I was like, okay. And I turned around and I said, I won't go in there. So went back through the castle, and then I decided to go to Monsters Inc. Ride and Go Seek, which is another ride we don't have here. That one I had to wait line for. It's about 40 minutes. You know how their priority pass works, and how their anniversary pass works. So the free fast passes as well as the priority pass when you pay for it. Soon as your time comes up, you can get another one. Or when you check in for that ride, it opens up that you can get another one while you're actually in line, right? So I was able to kind of maximize that. So I had a Monsters Inc., but the line after Donald's did his little caravan, I looked at the app and the line had dropped down to 30 minutes. So I was like, well, I'm going to go get in that line right now and use my pass somewhere else. So did the Monsters Inc. Ride and Go Seek, which was really cool. You kind of you get in this little buggy and it brings you around. You have a flashlight, and instead of like Buzz Lightyear when you shoot a thing, you shine a flashlight on the little monster's hat and something happens.
oh,
So
that's
their
fun.
boo pops up and this pops up and all that kind of stuff. So it was a pretty cool little ride.
I like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, what next? Is it
Next,
lunchtime? Did you eat yet?
so yeah, actually, I had one more time before lunch. I went to go see Pirates of the Caribbean, right? So
Ah,
went to see Pirates. That one is in Japanese and in some parts English. Um, Jack is speaking in Japanese. But the funny thing about it, what I made note of, it has the old scene in it. So it's them saying, we want the women when they're trying to buy the women, and the guy's trying to auction off the ladies. You know, we don't do that over here anymore because people get offended. But they actually have the old scene, which was really cool over there. And that part is in English. So when they're bidding on the ladies. So yeah, so Red Pirates, by the way, they have a Blue Bayou there. I went over there. They did not have, so it's the same as Disney land where Blue Bayou kind of overlooks the ride,
oh,
but they did not have a Monte Cristo. But when I went over there, I was like, well, I'm not going to go because I went to go eat over there. And it was like, I looked at the menu and it's fancier there, right? So they had some different things. And I was like, I asked her, I said, do you have a Monte Cristo? And she's like, no. So I didn't go there. I decided to go to Tomorrowland Terrace for lunch and ate over there.
and did they have mobile order?
They did have mobile order, but I just went to the counter to order. Um, very, very, very reasonable. My lunch there was I got a chicken sandwich combo, which is crazy because their chicken sandwich actually has, and I got this because the the video I was watching, the guy had it and he said you got to try this. It's fantastic. He said it. Don't sleep on it. So I got it. Their chicken sandwich combo has tartar sauce on it though.
Oh,
So yeah, and I was like, well, he's saying don't sleep on it. I'm gonna try it. I tried it. It was very good. So
wow.
yeah, so I ate over at Tomorrowland Terrace.
Was it a
The
fried chicken sandwich or
Yeah,
like a grilled or?
fried chicken sandwich had tartar sauce, fries, and a drink was $9.
Whoa!
Yeah, the whole combo $9, cheaper than Chick-fil-A over here.
Seriously?
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
So
So your park ticket was, what did you say, $62, and then your food is $9 for you get soda, sandwich, and fries?
and don't forget $2 for the popcorn. I mean,
Wow.
it's just yeah. And the funny thing about it, and this is a different topic. I was looking at the when I was over at the hotel previous to this, Disney was thinking about lowering the park ticket prices. they actually came on the news and they said that they're in the process of reevaluating and they may lower the park ticket prices. So next year it may be 50 something. I think it's because right now the yen is not as strong, so as compared to American dollar. So yeah, they thinking about lowering the price of the ticket, which is good for people going back later. Mhm.
So when you went to order the food, was the menu both in Japanese and English? Or did you have
Yes.
to, did they hand you a special menu? Okay.
Mm-mm. It was, in fact, it was up on the board, and you can see that the pictures of all the food as well, so you can see exactly what it is, and then you can order from there.
And were there more traditional Japanese offerings at other restaurants, or did you, so you went to Tomorrowland Terrace. I'm assuming there was this chicken sandwich. I'm guessing maybe there was a burger or something along that lines. But if you wanted something a little more traditional, were there options like that in the park?
They did. They had, in fact, they had it at Tomorrowland Terrace as well. There are different options as well that you can get at every park. So there are more traditional uh, Japanese food as well that you can get, like Blue at Blue Bayou. They had like some Japanese things as well as some American things.
Okay.
So it's a good mix of both at the park.
Okay. Awesome. All right. All right. So you had lunch, a very
Mhm.
affordable lunch, and a really good sandwich, which is good.
Mhm.
So the guy did not lead you astray. He gave you good advice, which is always helpful.
Yep, gave me good advice.
Then what did you do?
So then I came outside and I kind of timed it. Their parade is called Disney Harmony in Color. So that time was around 2 o'clock, I think. So yeah, after two, I went and once again, second row, got there and waited for the parade. Parade came, and let me say, love that parade. That parade was great. I mean, literally, it was fantastic. And once again, the audience participation at that parade as well. I mean, it is a local park. It really is. They love that park. Heck, I love that park. And stood there and watched the parade on the second row, and nobody cut in front. Everybody was stayed in their little section that they were supposed to be in. And by the way, and this is an option, you can literally get a fast pass to be in a certain section for the parade.
Oh,
So you can do is like, you know what, it had it blocked off around the castle. You can be like, hey, I want to sit here. You can buy one, or you can try to get a priority pass to kind of get out there and get a better seat. But from doing my research, the guy said, if you're not doing it in front of the castle, you don't have to waste a priority pass on that. You can just find one along the route. And I did. So I found one right outside of Tomorrowland's Terrace. And you can see, because when you came out, you see the first row, and I'm like, okay, if nobody's standing behind that person, I'll stand there. And so I went there and sat down, and I waited for the parade to come, and popped up and watched the parade there.
that's awesome.
Mhm.
Like,
Parade's really, really, really good. It is, it has a lot of characters. Um, big Baymax stuff as well. I know you like Baymax.
I love
Big
being.
Baymax stuff there as well. They had all the characters from Baymax. They were riding their bikes, riding whatever they were doing. They literally had, Moana. They had Moana float. They had everything. And at the end, the last float was the traditional Disney characters. So Mickey, Minnie, Donald, everybody was on that float. Pluto. So yeah, it was an abundance of characters. You're right there because literally you only have the person sitting in front of you, and then they're right there. So yeah,
That's
and
awesome.
and at the end of every parade, even Donald, when he came in, is the security person in the back, and then everybody lines up behind him, and they walk behind the parade. Yeah,
Nice and orderly.
nice and orderly. There was no drama at this park, which was, I mean, it's pretty good.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
All right. So you did the morning parade for Donald's birthday. You did the afternoon parade. What were some other highlights of your afternoon?
So then I walked over and went to ride Star Tours. So
Oh,
yeah, so went over to Star Tours, did that, and then which was once again, that one is in Japanese as well. But you know what Star Tours is. It did have the new scene with Ahsoka, right?
okay.
So their Star Tours is a little different because you come out of it upstairs and you walk across this big ramp, and you have people under you. Then you come down. And then at that point, I said, you know what? It's time for some souvenirs. So back to the mall, which is kind of like their main street, and just went through every store. That was the rest of my afternoons. I went from store to store because each place was different. So I wanted to see it, right? So got some snacks as I was going, some candy here, cookie there, you know,
Was it kind of
walk
connected
through.
with the Emporium, or was it more like Sunset Boulevard and Hollywood Studios, where you have to go into a store, come out, and then go into another one and come out?
So since there's actually you can go from store to store, but it's on both sides of the street, right? So you come out one, you can go across the street and go in there to the other store. But then once you get in that other store across the street, then you can go from store to store.
Got it. Got it.
Mm-hmm.
All
And
right.
I mean, it took me about
Search.
2.5 hours to kind of walk through all that.
Wow.
Yeah, and because it's a lot of merch. So got me some pins, got some stuff for my wife, for my daughter. Kind of sat down outside and people watched, which is my kind of like my hobby. Sitting down watching people just roaming around and kind of just stayed there the rest of the afternoon.
That's awesome. So you mentioned pins. Do they do pin trading there?
You know what? They don't do pin trading, and pins are not a big thing over there because there's only like when I actually asked for pins, they're like pins, and I pulled up my phone and Googled a Disney pin and showed it to them, and they told me what store it was at, and it was just like it was a store that had just a small little section of pins.
Huh.
Mm-hmm. So it's not a big thing over there. You know what's a big thing over there? Stationery. I mean, so postcards, stationery, pins. I mean, you know how you have the pin trading store, the pin store in Disney Springs that we went to that time? It's just all these pins, the whole store.
Yeah.
Imagine a store like that with stationery.
Wow.
And a bunch of people in there just buying postcards and buying paper and buying pins. And so, yeah, books are another big thing there. So there's a whole store, just the books. Right.
Whoa.
So yeah, so people are buying books and,
I
all
do
the
not.
movies had books. It was crazy.
Yeah, going to a theme park and buying stationery and books does not just. It's not what I was going to expecting
Yeah.
you to say. So that's interesting. But
Mhm.
no, I
And
like stationery.
stuffed animals. Stuffed animals are a big thing over there.
Yeah.
So yeah, and of course Donald had a special one that it's like it's my birthday and it had the date on it, and he was holding some presents. So a lot of people was buying those. But yeah, it's shirts, big thing. The sizes are a little off, right? So I went to pick up a shirt to buy a shirt, and I got to the counter and the lady said, "This is a large." I said, "Yes." She says, "Try on." I was like, "Huh?" She said, "Just put on." And I was like, "Okay." So I put the shirt on, and she's like, "No." And then the coworker behind the counter came over. She's like, "No, you too big for shirt." So this is yeah. I was like, "Okay, I won't get it then." She's like, "Yeah, you." She's like, she's like, "Your shoulder's too big."
Oh.
And she said, "No extra large." So I'm like, "Okay, well, I understand." So I didn't get that shirt. But
Well,
yeah, I
that's
appreciate it. We're in Disney when they talk you out of buying something.
I know, but it was nice that they were helpful. That they,
Yes, very helpful.
they
Everybody was extremely
didn't want
helpful.
you to spend your money on something that you would regret, because then you'd be like, "Oh, this is not meant for my build." So
Yeah,
that's good.
and so did that and said, "Okay, well, I won't get it, thank you," and went around and looked at some other stuff and bought some other things, and because we do love merch, and that was my afternoon. It started to rain around 6 o'clock. I had a fast pass for 7 o'clock, but I was like, you know what? It's 6. I'm flying out tomorrow. I looked at what time the shuttle was coming. It was coming at 6:40, so I was like, okay, I'm just gonna walk back over. So because it's a pretty long walk, so I walked over, and there's a store. It's called the Last Chance Store, where you can go in and kind of look at a bunch of other stuff that they have there. Some of the stuff was on sale, but a lot of stuff in the park was in there as well. As a big store. So I stayed in there for a while, and I looked at my watch, and I was like, oh, it's 6:38. Walked downstairs. At 6:39, the bus pulled up. Jumped on the bus. 6:40, we were gone. Extremely punctual. very nice, and made it back to the room. And the good thing about the Sheraton, of course, top floor, they had breakfast, they had dinner, so you could go as I went over there, had dinner for the night, and that was it.
So you didn't get to see any evening show. Did they offer any evening shows?
They do have an evening parade. It was about, but I was like, it's raining. I don't want to be out in the rain, even though I had a raincoat. I just was like, I've been here all day. And I actually flew there, so I was kind of still a little jet lagged. So I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna go in for the night. So I just kind of
Yeah.
hung out in the lounge for a little bit, and yeah, that's about it.
What
The
is the
next
time
morning,
difference? I don't think I know the time difference. What is it
12 hours, 12 hours for me.
for you? And you're on
I was
Central.
a day ahead, so I was gone, and this is part of a longer trip that I had to take. So I was gone for gosh, 7 days total, but where I was the most of the time, it was the day ahead, right? So when I left, like I left on Tuesday, and I arrived Thursday morning at like 3 in the morning. So it's a longer flight, right? But then
Okay.
again, like I said, I actually went through. I had and what allowed me to go to Disney Tokyo is I had a long layover, right? So because it's best to where I was going, it was best to break up the flight because
Yeah.
it'll get you if you don't.
Yeah.
Mhm.
All right. What is there anything that you wanted to do that you didn't get a chance to do?
Nope, not at all.
Okay.
Um, Everything I wanted to do, because I made a list of it, and I wrote down everything I wanted to do, and I did actually everything. And if I really wanted to push it, like push it, I could have probably did the same rides multiple times. Like I had another fast pass for Pooh that I could have rode again, but instead of going back to Pooh, I was like, yeah, I'm going to go into Star Tours because I looked at it as like a 5 minute wait, right? So I mean that's a walk on. Haunted Mansion still had when I rode it, it was a 10 minute, but it basically just waiting for the stretching room. But I mean, a lot of rides you can actually just walk on,
Well,
which
you
is pretty
you
cool.
were there on a Monday, so
It
that could have.
was a Monday, but it was Donald's birthday. I'm sure it's different when it's on a weekend because it's a local park, so
Mhm.
probably different on the weekend. Probably a lot more packed.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, good. That sounds like it was an excellent. I mean, who gets to go one day to Disney Tokyo? Lonnie G.
Yeah, yeah,
Why not?
I did my thing.
So overall, would you recommend people checking it out if they happen to find themselves in Tokyo?
So this is the thing. Absolutely, leaving that park, and I had a long time to think about it because, like I said, I flew out the next day coming home, and I was went kind of going over my mind this park and the other parks, and by far, this is my favorite park. I mean, I love it more than the world, and the world is my home park. Love it more than the world. Love it more than Disneyland. It runs laps around Paris. Um, I was doing my research about the park when I decided to go. And looking at the history of it, it shows you what happens when someone says "spare no expense," and give the Imagineers leeway to do what they want to do. And it also shows when people actually care about the parks
Mhm.
and treat the parks with respect. And you in a restaurant eating, people don't get up and leave food on the table. They will pick up their tray, they wipe the table off, and but even when they wipe the table off, before they get 5 feet from the table, somebody's there cleaning it, putting their stuff in the receptacles. You know, it just shows the difference in when you care about something, and people there care about that park, and that's the cool thing about it.
Do you want to go back?
I'm actually, I do, and I'll share. I will be going back later this year.
And are you going to go to Tokyo Disneyland again, or are you going to go to
I'm
the
going to see this time.
what is it called?
Tokyo Disney Sea.
Tokyo Disney Sea, like
Mhm.
SEA, like
Mhm.
the water? Okay.
Like water, yes.
Right.
A lot
So,
of there on water, and there's a new Frozen land there too that everyone says is just fantastic. So what I've heard from, like I said, once again, you do your little research. That is the the best park is what they're saying, right?
Yeah,
But
I've
it's
heard
different. You have to plan that one a little bit more.
I have heard that over and over and over again that it is the absolute premier park.
So I will be premiering that one
That's exciting.
later
So
later this year.
will you go to both, or will you just focus on C that time this time?
I'll probably just focus on sea that time, but I may do 2 days in the sea. I'll see. It's when I'm going. It should be a good time to go in regards to weights. But yeah, so I will probably, and I'm looking at it. Of course, they have because Tower of Terror is over in C.
Oh,
Right. So now they're right next to each other. I mean, I'm seeing it, right? So I can, from my room, I'm looking over. Like I said, I was on the bay side, but when I catch the elevators, so going up to my room, I can look and see Tower of Terror. So the sea is right there, right? But yeah, certain differences. They do have a monorail. You pay for the monorail, but it's like $1, right? So you pay for the monorail, so it's a little different. But so yeah, definitely going to see next time.
that is exciting. I can't wait to follow along with that trip.
Yeah, I will share.
Well, Lonnie, any other tips or information you want to share with everybody about this pretty amazing epic trip to Tokyo? I mean, this is not a normal Walt Disney World trip report. This is just a little bigger.
Well, my thing is go. If you can go, and I know it's a lift, right? Because it's a long flight. It's you have to put some effort into getting there, but um, travel just, and I've always been a big proponent of it. It just opens your eyes to just the different cultures, right? You see different things, and it's great to take the blinders off and just kind of just take in the world and show and appreciate the different cultures.
Mhm.
So if you can go, I think any Disney fan, if you're a true Disney fan, and I know John has gone as well, and I was talking to John, he was like, "Man, you're gonna love it," and I was like, "Yeah, okay." He's right. He was absolutely right. It's just a different experience. And by the way, they're building a new Space Mountain, and to see what's going on there, because you can actually see how big it is. So I'm planning on probably trying to get there and see that when that opens as well.
That's awesome.
Mhm.
That would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
Well, this has been really interesting. Super different trip report. I have to add it to my bucket list. That's the problem when you listen to these trip reports, then you just add to your places in the world that you want to go. So,
Look, it's not your money; it's Mickey's money.
yeah,
Give
that's
Mickey's
not
money.
my money lately. It's just flying right up for. So,
Give Mickey's money. You know.
all right. Well, this has been really fun. I've just been wanting to talk to you about this trip because it's so unique and so different, and I can't wait to see all the pictures. So be sure to share them when the show drops. I'm
I
excited.
will share some pictures. I'll show you a lot of, because as walking around, as people set up, and it's another thing, people actually set up to watch the parade. And people are sitting there with, you know, hundreds of Donalds, little mini Donalds in different outfits. And they were like on a blanket laid out, to kind of like to display. It was a Donald display. It was like a homage to Donald. And Donald would come in, he'll point at it, and the person will give the love sign, and Donald will kiss at him. And it's, because it was amazing to see.
That's
It was
that's
amazing to see.
awesome. I
And
love it.
as a duck, somebody had to represent the ducks, right? So there you go.
You had to. You had to.
Yeah.
It'd be disrespectful if you didn't.
I mean, you might make us change the name of this podcast. You can't go out like that.
All right. Well, again, thank you, Lonnie, for sharing all about your trip because that is pretty incredible. One day I'll make it over there. So, all right. So I guess because there's a dad on the show, we have to do our dad jokes. So, Lonnie, do you
I mean, it
have?
is Father's Day. It's like what? Well, by the time you listen to this, it just passed. But we have to do that for Father's Day, right?
Sure, go for it.
Okay. So, what kind of shoes do frogs wear?
What kind of shoes do frogs wear?
Mhm.
Hmm, I'm not so sure.
Open-toed sandals.
Oh, of course they do. All right. Well, I was thinking about Japan and sushi, which is one of my favorite things to eat, and I absolutely love it. So I got me thinking, like, where did the sushi go to the beach? Or why did it go to the beach? Why did the sushi go to the beach?
I don't know. Why did the sushi go to the beach?
Because it wanted to go to it wanted to become a California roll. It was the best I could come up with.
That's a good one. I'll take it.
Friends, I hope you enjoyed this as much as I did. I loved hearing all about this trip. And if you like what you heard, please don't forget to go give us a 5-star review and join us on our Facebook page, because I am sure if you have a trip coming up to Tokyo Disneyland, that Lonnie would be more than happy to answer some questions for you.
Would love to answer questions.
Yeah.
Send me a message. I will walk you through my little process.
And I cannot wait to see the pictures, because I think they're going to be really fun. So thank you, everybody, for joining us. And, see you later.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, friends. All right. I have about 25 different tabs open in my Google Chrome right now, so that's fun.
Why are you trying to register for a Run Disney race?